Welcome to the EBC Podcast More Than Fitness. With a combined 50 years worth of experience and knowledge in the industry, we're going to have an open discussion on everything fitness and more. Hosted by myself, Wes, an EBC director, James Sweeney, a sports scientist and EBC director, Glyn Roberts, a former Royal Marine and EBC director, and Will Young, our online coach specialist and EBC instructor. Welcome back to the EBC Podcast More Than Fitness. This episode, we're going to be talking about the EBC60 program that we run. So again, looking at a very loose chat about it, we're going to talk about the evolution of it, how it started, where it started from, and how it's kind of evolved into this little monster now that Will looks after. Is that right, Will?
Apparently so.
Every episode, I just love throwing stuff at Will. He just stares at me. So I'll take it over to Jim and Glyn first, because obviously they were the initial creators of Intellect.
It was called Intellect back in the day.
Why did we call it Intellect?
Well, it was Intellect with the E. Do you see what we did there?
Yeah, I know.
Geniuses. I'm going to clap you boys.
Yeah, we loved it. We loved it. We loved it.
Not just a hat rack.
Marketable, you two.
Eat Elect.
We were like,
I thought it was a great branding of a name.
Yeah,
by the way.
We
I
thought
think
so.
it's a great
Which
branding.
is so good we didn't keep it.
Go on. So, look, it was just there was a lot of rubbish out there in terms, and there still is from a nutrition point of view, and we really kept it really basic and kept it quite sciencey. To be fair, that was the bottom line of it. We laughing at.
The thing is, like we said about it before we started filming, that a lot of people are kind of like when they sign up to diets or plans and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with this. Again, like we always have our opinion on stuff. I'm not saying everything's always like negative, but when you're told what to eat all the time, you don't think for yourself. And if you want something to be long term, which is what we should be achieving in this game, right? We are looking for long term results. We are not looking. Competition, like we've spoken about this before, is different. Photo shoot, different. You want to drop weight for a fight, different. You need strict plans, right?
Yeah.
But if you can't stick to something in a year's time, don't start it. Because it needs to be longevity, right? So the point of Intellect was with the intellect part of it, was to get people to learn their own process by us not ramming fucking information down their neck and saying to them, right, what do you eat for breakfast? This is what try it this way, try it that way. How's your energy levels? We're trying to get them to educate themselves.
You were big at the start as well on not overloading people. So we always one of the first things we did was try to keep it really simple and then progress it. So once you've gone through the first couple of weeks, we progress it on and you take a little bit more on. So you weren't trying to change too much too quickly, which I think was quite sensible. And that's still a running theme now, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think it still is really simple. You're looking at daily energy needs and basically that number for that person. And that's quite specific. People seem to get that wrong. They want to get into the nitty gritty before they look at energy needs.
People try and before they can walk.
Yeah.
How much energy is going out? As well, that's misconstrued with people.
I think we're teaching people patience as well.
Yeah, because there's no magic pill.
Yeah,
like
because
we always say.
We all know, don't we? There's a lot of people who don't have any patience. We all know as trainers that people are like literally
instant gratification.
I want that to happen. Yeah. It's like So I always explain this. I said this the other day to someone. I think it was my sister-in-law. I was like, you can't gain body fat like that. Do you know what I mean? You don't wake up in 3-4 days' time and go like, oh shit. So don't expect to lose it.
It's very true, no, that is true.
It's true though, isn't it?
It's a graduate.
People were happy to go, I let myself go and, for the last 2 years of eating shit and I've slowly put weight on. But then they go, but I've got a holiday in 2 weeks, can I get rid of it? You're like, well, it took you 2 years to gain it, so why do you think you're going to fucking lose it?
You've always got to
weeks?
consider how long it takes.
That's not what we used to say to people. You used to be like, I know a surgeon.
Harley Street, get it sucked out. If you want it done that quick, there you go. Go pay $5,000 and get it sucked out of it.
That's a good point.
But you're not, are you? Like people are happy to accept the fact it's taking them 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years to put on 3 or 4 stone, but they're not happy to accept it's going to take them 6 months, a year, 2 years to lose it
again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other one that sticks out as well is when people say to you, my friend so and so's on this diet, and usually they're very restrictive, and she's lost half a stone, 7 pounds in a week. Right. Well, let's think about it logically. You haven't. wasn't going to say that. But ultimately, you haven't burnt fat, have you? We're trying to set people up to metabolise fat, which takes time. Yeah, you're saying it takes time to put on, it takes time scientifically, it takes time to come off. Most of these faddy diets are setting people up basically to lose weight, whether that be water, feces, glyn, and anything else that's in your gut. Yeah, easy. But like that seems to be misconstrued with people as well. So you see that a lot, and I think we got tired of seeing the same stuff and thinking, well, if we can go from a factual-based sort of place and a sciencey based place and offer an intervention for people, and that's where it started.
But also, I got really fed up with seeing on social media someone saying, "This is the way to do it. Drop your carbs. No carbs before marbs." Like and all this kind of shit, or
just go keto, or
keto this, and we said this when we did the talks for at Middleton, didn't we? Do you remember? And I said to people like, what's all of these diets, if you want to call them diets, interventions, whatever they call, what's the one thing every single one of them's got in common?
Apple cider vinegar. No, sorry.
Wait, listen, that was going to be the ending. That was the bombshell. Then we're going to plug apple cider vinegar.
No, sorry, mate.
What's the one thing they've all got in common? Calorie deficit.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know what I mean?
Dave. Serious.
It's not the cutting of the carbs. It's not anything like that. So, like, I'll explain this once. This is one that I used in one of the talks once, wasn't it? They did a study. This was years ago now, so I can't cite where I got it from. They did this genuine study. They took two groups of people, and they both put in calorie deficits. But within the diet, one group had bread in the diet, one group didn't have bread in the diet, right? Both groups lost their respective weights, as you'd expect. But this group that had the bread in the diet, sustained the diet for longer. Why? Because they enjoyed it. What they were eating.
Mm-hmm. Bread's
so
nice.
If you enjoy it, you're going to sustain it. It's not the fucking bread that means you put on your weight.
It's livable.
Like people say to me, I'll cut out teas and coffees, so I must be like lactose intolerant or something like that because I'm not having a milk anymore. It's like, well, how many do you have a day? Like 5, 6 a day. How much milk do you think you put in? About that much. Add that up over a week. What's that? 3 pints? 4 pints? That's a lot of calories you just cut out your diet, mate.
Yeah.
It's not the fucking milk.
I think over the years, there's a few things that always pop up, and you might have this is kind of more your game now, Will, so you might have a bit to sound this as well, but...
Hopefully.
We don't have that.
Do you know what? I keep trying to say something, but Glenn's so fucking loud.
But listen. So
tone,
this was built off of we saw the same things happening, and I think timing. You've covered it a little bit. Timing's huge for people. Yeah. So that's a consideration. If you're looking to do anything in terms of making a change in your lifestyle or nutrition, have a look at what's going on around you. If you've got loads of things going on and loads changing, now's not a good time. Mm-hmm. So timing's huge. I always think people underestimate how active they are. And basically, overestimate
calorie requirement.
Sorry, they overestimate how active they are. They're doing probably less than they think they are. So I've got that wrong way around. And I think they definitely underestimate what they put in their mouth and how much they're eating. And I think those things, they're all common problems that you see. And I think the minute you bring people back down to, let's have a look at you week on week. Let's have a look at your data. Let's track for a bit. And it then starts to jump out at you what's going on. And there's a bit of realisation for them as well. But I think most of it is nailing down those kind of few issues and then giving feedback to the clients. And I think that's something that we've started to do a lot more readily with the 60-day challenge as it is now.
Yeah, it's why it's so useful to have all this kind of data that we can track these days. Is that if I take one of my clients, for example, they thought they were a really active person, getting plenty of steps in, until they actually got a smartwatch, connected it through to the app, and we tracked it for a week. And on the weekends, fine, 10,000 plus steps. But throughout the week, they worked on an office job, on a desk job, and it would be around 2,000 steps on a daily basis, and they didn't realise that. And then we went through a period of time as well where they were tracking their food and they were forgetting all sorts of things. They weren't adding calories in from sources through any liquid calories and things that they were missing out on.
They weren't liquid calories. That's classic, isn't it?
Yeah, always. And then what you start to realise over time is when they're questioning it and they're like, well, I need to drop my calories down. It's like, no, we should actually be looking at how many calories you're actually consuming. Are you logging everything that has a calorie that's going in your mouth? And then we're going to get a proper figure of it. That's why it's so useful these days to have all the data that we can track and everything that we can follow, because you can get it exactly kind of down to a T of where you want it to be.
I just don't think the problem is as well that people, that one of the things that we try and do, and we're a big believer in this, is making people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I don't think people are when they come to looking actually why they're not losing the fat that, well, I'm going to say fat, not weight, because we all know it's the fat we want to lose.
We're looking to maximise
why
fat.
they're not? It's because they're not being truthful or accountable to themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they might go, oh, I've been really good Monday to Friday, and they've let themselves go at the weekend. If I do the math right, isn't like that's 70% of your week. So you've still got 30% of your week at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can really fucking go off plan over 2 days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I don't seem to lose any weight. Well, because you're eating like this Monday to Friday, then you're killing it over 2 days. Your weight loss should be over a 10-day period, and then extend it.
I was having this actually discussion with you this morning, weren't I? And it's like, you need to calculate your calories into a weekly total. You can
100%.
split them up however you please throughout the week. It doesn't matter what, as long as it's the same by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But what people do is Monday to Friday, they stick to that goal of what it's supposed to be split evenly over 7 days. But then Saturday and Sunday, they have 500 extra calories Saturday, 500 extra calories on Sunday. All of a sudden, their weekly total's up 1,000, and that's the gap between being in a deficit to being to maintenance and never maintain that week. And I think that's what people always slip up on weekends.
But they don't, I just think also from what I've seen over the years is like people don't. Again, I'll go back to the accountability thing. Is they don't give it enough time for one, and secondly, they don't track the little things like you were saying. Like I just had it was only a biscuit.
They add up.
Right, listen, the biscuits are not going to make you overweight. But if you fucking add up how many of them biscuits you ate over 7 days, I bet it's a lot.
Yeah.
If you're honest. Because I always say to people, like, the one Mars bar is not going to make a difference. You could put weight on by eating, like, chicken and avocado, because everyone thinks avocado is like fucking superfood, right? But the point is, it's the amount of food you're going to consume, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you fancy eating a bag of crisps, have a fucking bag of crisps. For Christ's sake, live a life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But what they then don't do is take into account, it's only a bag of crisps. Yeah, but you said that this morning.
Yeah.
Then you said that at lunchtime. Then you said that the next... Do you know what I mean? Oh, I'm feeling tired, I'm just going to have a bag of crisps. Yeah, but you did that last night, the night before, the night before, the night before that. That's where they forget, do you know what I mean? That's only a bag of crisps. Yeah, no, it's only a bag of crisps if it was just a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The two together that cause the problems are just going a little bit over and then not being active.
Yeah.
So if you're inactive, you're going surplus calories daily for a few days and whatever, over a period of time, that compounding kind of action together creates surplus and your body starts storing fat.
And that's why people don't notice weight gain as well, because you only got to be in such a small surplus.
That's it.
For years, and then it just creeps up on you without you even realising.
That's it. I think that, you know, the nutrition intervention as it is, I think we've evolved it, because originally we ran it on Facebook, which wasn't, it's a good way of getting information out there, but it was limiting in terms of tracking people. So we've now got obviously the app that we're using that plugs into wearables and all the rest of it, which is a much better way of tracking data from our point of view as well. When you look onto, this is subject to people actually tracking and doing what they're meant to be doing. So the onus is still on them from that point of view. But when we actually log on to someone's profile, we can see the last week, the last 2 weeks of what's been going on and give more accurate feedback. Now that's massive from that side of things, which I know you're going to talk about a little bit as well, a little bit more from like the app and how that's been a benefit to us. But the nuts and bolts of it have always been the same. It's understanding your energy needs, basically what you put into your body and that interaction between the two.
Sustainability as well.
It's huge. And then it's like, as Glyn's saying there, like the overarching thing is, once this stops, our job is to give you the tools to carry on.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to stop and then you're like, well, what am I going to do? And the goal of it is to be intuitive with your body's energy needs. You should understand roughly where you need to be, because we don't want to be counting calories the rest of the day.
And that's key. We always say that. Everything about is, what's your body's energy? How do you feel? What's your energy like? And that's how we always relate it back to that. And that's one of the most powerful things.
Yeah, because even when we have on the apps and that, you'll see people that have massively increased their output, like they've done 30,000 steps and been to the gym or done boot camp, and you just think, and then I'll reply to them and go, you need to eat more.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but I'm only 100 calories under my target. I'm like, yeah, but you've tripled your output. So eat more. Oh yeah, but I don't want to put weight on. You're fucking not. Your output's now shot right up.
Yeah.
Refill yourself.
Yeah.
And then the more we can interact with people and drum that into them, the more they realise. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe in the future, I mean, we might get some feedback off this. It might be a way of doing things that we start to say, look, we've got 4 coaches. They're all specialists in whatever we're specialists in. You know, won't go into that piece, and you get to choose. So you know that might be an angle on it from a slightly different view. But I think, I mean, what we're doing essentially, the information is the information. That doesn't change. We've got more guidance on what each individual's doing, so we can give more accurate feedback.
Let's talk about this then. So why do we think after a certain period that people drop off? Because we know this our intervention works. We know it works. The process has been proven. We've done it so many times, but people have to stick to it. Like it's like anything. Like have to be accountable. But why do we think after a certain time period people will drop off? I know you've got a big thing on this.
I think firstly, if anyone watching this has done it, please comment. Let us know why you didn't maybe see it all the way through and whatnot, and then we'll.
It'd be interesting to know why.
Yeah, drop a comment and let us know what you guys think as well. Because at the end of the day,
why do you think?
I mean, one of the main reasons that I would say is you kind of covered this earlier, but unrealistic expectations of what they're going to achieve initially. So if someone's not seeing those initial results off the back within a week or 2 weeks, and they've only lost a pound, which by the way is great progress, and that's not good enough to them, then they're not going to be in the right headspace to continue. They're not going to be motivated enough. So I would say a real lack of patience and unrealistic expectations initially. But also, I don't know, I'm going to have to think about that one. I have to reword that one.
I think as well, sorry mate.
Go on.
To be clear as well, most people are looking to lose weight. As Glyn's rightly said, we're looking to lose fat. We're trying to set your body up to metabolise fat in its most effective form. There's only one real way that could be done. Deficit, but it's got to be a deficit in a sweet spot, which is about 10 to 15%. So what we're saying is, to get into the nitty-gritty of it, we're holding your body in a deficit. We want to metabolise fat, but not at the expense of muscle. And that seems to be a big issue for people. People want to put themselves in a big deficit and lose weight. Well, that's not what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to metabolise fat, and there's a big difference. Yeah. I think there's that. So agreeing with you, Will. And then secondly, I think when we get to the point where we start looking at, so we do the first 30 days tracking calories and understand energy needs. As soon as we start talking about macronutrients, and in particular protein, which is the only one that we track, that throws people. And there's a couple of things with that I think pops up that basically chucks people off balance. And I think the minute you introduce a protein target, if you're on quite low calories, you can't eat rubbish food sources. It starts to naturally direct you into like more whole foods.
It starts to restrict you into better food choices.
And you get more bang for your buck from whole foods, right? And I think that's a bit of a wake up call for people. They then realise that the bag of crisps is not an option because they just haven't got the fucking calories to to get away with it.
They'll miss their protein.
So that shift is a big one, and that we do tend to get a bit of a watershed there.
I think it's important at that point not to overwhelm people, and that's again why we look at protein as the most important macro that we're looking at, and we're not looking at carbs and fats as an initial starting point. Is because we don't want to throw everything at someone from the beginning who's never tracked their calories before. No, you're not only telling them to track their calories, you're telling them to track their training, their sleep, their steps, their carbs, their fats, and their protein, and then it's like all of a sudden
it just starts to feel like it's overwhelming, doesn't it?
It's way too amazing though how I do. When people, I check their stats and stuff, and I'm like, how have you only got 50 grams of protein in today? I mean,
you could get that.
That's massive. That's massive.
I messaged them, I just couldn't get any more in, and like, that's like a chicken breast.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did you eat for lunch? And I don't get it, like how people can eat, not hear it, because getting protein is, I think, personally, easy.
It's extreme. It's really
bread, pasta, oats, all that. They've all got protein in it anyway. Add that on top of your natural protein sources. Yeah. Like shit the bed. A couple of Greek yogurts, whatever thrown in there. It's not hard.
But that's the great thing about the app is that
I think
we
it's
can
people
look back
knowing that is an option. Whereas I think people are conditioned in the mindset where they can't be having.
Well, most women tend to think I can't eat too much protein. I'm gonna get big and muscly. It's never going to happen. How many times have you... I mean, this is one thing that's right on social media, ladies. You're not going to get big and muscly. You don't have enough testosterone, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
So protein is the big one, right? And it is really... Most people that come onto this challenge and that do the 60-day challenge, whatever, it's really low. And that always baffles me as well. It's like, how can we not be eating... Finally, if they've got dietary requirements and maybe they're... don't eat meat or don't eat fish. Fish is
vegans they do struggle to get protein.
Fish is a good one because it's really low calories and it's just packed full of. It's pretty much all protein, isn't it? But that seems to be a massive issue. That shift onto protein.
I think for us though, it's really important that we get people to walk away from the end of the 60 days and look at things intuitively. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Know that They look when they go out for dinner, or they're not counting calories. They know that when they make their scrambled eggs and they put 10 eggs in there with butter and milk, they know that's fucking too much. They know it is because they've counted it in the past.
Yeah.
They don't need us to go
Get a feel for it.
how many fucking calories you had in your scrambled eggs?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's the key.
You want it to be intuitive because
the
that's
message
how you
we try.
learn. It's like today, like I said to Will earlier. Today I'm sitting on my arse all day, right? I'm not having any carbs today. That's not because I'm a carbophobe. I fucking eat a lot of them, but I'm eating a lot more fats today.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. I know I'm gonna increase my fats intuitively. I'm having less carbs because I know there's got to be a balance somewhere. Do you know what I mean? That's just where it comes from, that knowledge and experience, and that's all we're trying to do. Is to pass on to other people.
And that's the key to the program, is we want people to get to the end of it and not have to do it again.
You should have a
we
feel
want
in
them
it.
to just go, you've learnt it now, you just go and do it now. You don't need us unless you 100% need the accountability all the time. Yeah. You should be at a position now after the 60 days to go, yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
That's exactly what it's about building habits. But
building
if you start comparing that to fad diets and anything else, like if I use Slimming World as an example here, Slimming World tells you exactly what you need to consume, not calorie wise, but they'll give you the meals and you'll follow that for a particular period of time. And then when you finish that, yes, you might have got the results, but they hold you a certain amount of distance away from what you're actually supposed to be doing, that you end up coming back because you go back into your old habits, old ways, and gain the weight again, and then go back and repeat.
I wouldn't dream of telling anybody, look, on Monday you've got to eat this, because for me, I'm not qualified to do that, because someone should have done, that person should have done like an allergy test against, what works for them, what doesn't. It's a minefield from that point of view.
There's a multitude of reasons why that person's maybe eating that. I'd rather say to someone, what have you eaten? Let me look at it. I had that. How about you think about eating this as an alternative? You give them options.
Massively.
You know what I mean? Like the classic thing's fasting. Everyone talks about fasting. I'm not against it. Does it work for me? Does it bollocks? Well, I wake up in the morning, I'm hungry. Right, I need to eat. I've got a fast metabolism. That's my body, right? Yeah. Some people love it. I say to some of my clients, if you're really not hungry in the morning, and you don't have time, and you're really genuinely not hungry till lunchtime, it's going to work perfect for you. Like, find what works for you. It's no point me saying, I know trainers in the past that have openly said, well, I know if I get a client, I tell them they need to lose weight, I'll tell them to go to be vegan. And I'm like, why? Well, because I'm vegan. What the fuck's that got to do with it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's irrelevant. Just because it's what works for you doesn't work for someone else. Find what works around there. And that's the point of the 60. We're finding what works, because everybody on that EBC60 is different.
Yeah.
And every single one of their plans is different. Some people will like eating eggs in the morning. Some people can't stomach eggs in the morning. They'd rather have a fucking yogurt or a cup of tea.
But when it's all dialed back, it's to do with that number.
Exactly.
It's always going to come back to that number.
We're operating as well out of scientific principle. So the principles that are employed on that program are the principles that they govern our body. Our body. So from that side of it, and kind of what Glyn's saying there as well, we're trying to give people options around so it's flexible, because going too restrictive on nutrition is it's a tough one.
Sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
And that's not what we're about. We want the sustainability. No. So let's talk a little bit about the structure of the 60 then, for people that have never done it before. So first 30 days, we're always looking at habit tracking, building in good habits,
understanding your daily energy needs,
understanding your body,
your numbers.
And getting
taking a look within, isn't it? If you look at it like that.
And what does it mean to you a little bit?
Going, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Understanding what they're actually doing on a daily basis, because like you said earlier, Will, most people don't actually know where they're going wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Until they start writing it down, they go, because like any client I've ever had over the years, like wants me to look at their diet, and I'm like, first thing I need you to do is write me down what you've been eating for the last week or two. Like literally, don't deviate from food, timings, nothing. This was like 10 odd years ago.
Food
just
diary,
write it down for me. Right, it comes with red marker. Right, do you know what I mean? And then you mark it and they're like that. Oh shit, yeah. I thought it was only one biscuit. Yeah, but it's one biscuit how many times in that week?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh shit, yeah.
Classic.
It's true though, isn't it?
I remember looking at someone's diary a few years back, and he'd done really well at the start, lost a load of weight, and just completely plateaued. And basically, I found an app that tracked alcohol and converted alcohol into like calories. And it was.
Do you know the name of that app? Because I had a conversation about this the other day, and I didn't know the name of it.
This was a while back. I'll find it. But we'll maybe stick it on the bottom of this. But
That's a really good idea,
how many
isn't it?
pints would turn it into like Eclairs or something?
so like one pint of beer is like pretty much eating a Mars bar, and you got blokes going out drinking like 10, 15 pints of beer. And then so being a deficit all week, good as gold, trained like an absolute trooper, got to the weekend, all went back, and another 2,000 calories on alcohol alone. And again, like that, it's just understanding that balance. And I think that was our biggest bugbear with the whole industry, was people were so quick to jump into it and get really complicated and really, really sciencey and really, really nitty gritty. When let's back it up, let's look at how active are we? How much food do we put into our system daily? What do your numbers look like? And that's where we started it. There's another bit as well, like that gets misconstrued. It's probably worth talking about supplementation. You know, around
Worms that one.
around supplementation.
Most of them don't work.
And our view was always very much food first and supplement second.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's called a supplement.
That's right, it's a food supplement. So like if you were, I mean, I guess the most obvious one would be protein shakes. If you've done a really, really hard session, or you've done you've played a game of something, 90 minutes, a couple of hours long, or you've done a really long ride, whatever it is, you've been out and done a long run or whatever, protein shake, no dramas, get it in. But it should never be the primary. It should always be food first.
It should never be a meal replacement,
No.
which is what people
Is
people
always
get confused.
A top up.
They've also that's all scientifically proven as like a myth now, isn't it? That anabolic window,
Yeah.
45 minute anabolic window, which we all probably got. Well, no, me and Jim did years ago. It was like you've got to get it in within 45 minutes. But now that this has been completely debunked, it's like as long as you
Is that what they used to call like the golden hour?
Yeah, as long as you eat your protein target. The thing is, the protein shakes. I don't think anybody's ever got a problem with protein shakes.
They're useful.
Personally, I love them
Useful
because I've got a
tool.
sweet tooth, so I quite like them.
Yeah.
But the problem with a lot of protein shakes is they're full of shit. Mm-hmm. They're packed full of shit. Do you know what I mean? So, and the other supplement that I think, which I religiously take every single day, is creatine. And don't even start it.
No,
I can't.
We'll be here all day.
Creatine, we'll be here all day. He did his dissertation on creatine
Went to uni.
at university.
That's right.
There's
That's
nothing
right.
he doesn't know about the stuff.
That's right.
But again, they're two substances that work really well. Everything else, caffeine, that's another one you could technically use. But apart from that, there isn't much else you need in the supplement world. And you should be getting all your protein really from whole foods, if anything. And a supplement is a supplement.
Secondary.
A secondary source. As simple as that. And exactly what you said, like meal replacements. I mean, the things that baffles me about meal replacements, right, is if you look at like a liquid food, you might have different opinions on this, it's technically pre-digested. Because what's your stomach got to do once you've drunk it? Pass it through. It doesn't got to break it down, doesn't make you feel full, right? So the problem is, it's all well and good at this, I won't name the names, right? But there's certain ones out there that are going, it's all natural vitamins, they're like, brilliant, great. But I fucking guarantee you after an hour drinking that, you'll be hungry still.
Yeah.
Because how do you ever get full from drinking liquid? Boom, just go straight through you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So guess what? You're going to increase your calorie input because you've drunk that.
Drink that and
you've drunk that 300, 400, 500 calorie shake, and you're like meal replacement, yeah. And literally half an hour later, I'm hungry. I need some substance.
What about if you blend something? So if you blended, I don't know, like you took a breakfast or whatever and blended it up, essentially you're increasing the surface area, so it'd be easier to digest, right? So
but there's a correlation between.
You'd absorb it.
There's a correlation between chewing food and being full, isn't there? It sends a signal to your brain to tell you that you're full.
That's the point.
So when you chew food, when you just go, there's no
recall back to the top.
So when you actually eat food, your brain's being told that you're chewing, you're going to digest it because you build up the saliva, the
100%.
acid, and all that kind of stuff. Which is why food is much better than just necking a shake.
It's not natural, is it?
No.
And I think a lot of what we've done over the time that we've been doing this, we've always kept it quite simple, kept it factual based and principle based, and we've always directed people into whole foods.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And what works for you?
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. It's quite simple. The tough bit is making people stick to it. It's the same thing with training, really. It's all about, it's coined these days, strategy of adherence. What keeps someone going back? And that's the tough question that I think a lot of people in the fitness industry are trying to ask and trying to answer.
I think the food's the same as training, though, isn't it? You've got to find what you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Don't stick to a diet plan and etc., that you're just not going to enjoy doing. You're never going to stick to it. It's the same as training. I don't give a shit if you like CrossFit or Zumba. Like, are you active and do you enjoy it? Yeah, then you're going to stick to it. Do you know what I mean? Like I said done this in talks before. Like when you talk about like keto as an example. Like genuinely, I reckon I could do the carnivore diet because I love steak. I could eat steak every single meal, no problem whatsoever. But I also fucking love sourdough bread. And I like the blueberries, and I like the Greek yogurt, and I love grass-fed butter smothered all over my toast. So, am I really going to stick to the carnivore? I'll probably last a week, and then I'll be like, sourdough, you know. So, find what you're going to stick to.
Longevity.
That's the crazy thing about it. I think people restrict themselves to the point they just fall off that wagon too quickly. You know?
Yeah, it's because they just want that quick.
It's always a quick fix.
It's the same with everything. I have conversations with clients where initially they start, and this isn't nutrition, this is actually training side of things, but they'll tell me that because they're motivated in that period of time, they want to start. They'll say, I can train 6 days a week. And I just tell them to take a step back from it, slow down a little bit. What is realistic for you to train? So if you start at 6 days a week and then first week, I can't do one of those sessions, I've done 5. Next week, I've missed 2 of them. You're going to start getting a bit of sad on about it, that you aren't completing all your sessions.
Yeah.
And you're just going to quit. Yeah,
doesn't it?
absolutely.
No one wants to regress.
So start at the lowest, start at the minimal, like what we do with EBC60. We don't integrate protein until after 30 days, is it?
Yeah, after 30 days, yeah.
It's the same thing with training, same thing with that, is start at what is the minimum, nail that, and then progress from there when you're in a position to do so.
Oh, it's got to be progressive. I think if you throw too much at someone too quick, then it just doesn't happen. There's too much to change, too much to consider. It's like overload, isn't it?
Yep.
And that's the tough thing. But I mean, sorry, going back to your question, we've progressed it with the app. Will was instrumental in that. Bringing the app in, and that's a really, really good tool to be able to track people, and not just what they're eating and how active they are, also their recovery times, how much they sleep.
I feel the app's really important now because it digs into a lot deeper than just protein, calories, and energy expenditure on a daily basis. It's also looking at all the other factors that aren't. I call those 3. First of all, my 3 daily non-negotiables: protein, calories, steps. But everything outside of that, training, the amount of sleep you're getting, the amount of water you're consuming on a daily basis, are all still really important factors. And it allows us to really deep dive into all of them and get an accurate, what's the word I'm looking for?
Get a big picture,
accurate picture on what it exactly we are consuming and what we're doing on a daily basis.
What advice do you think we could give then? There's people watching this that are like complete beginners, and they're on a journey. Listen to this, and they're thinking, right, tomorrow's Monday. Let's start Monday. That classic. Right. What would you say? What's the they live in America, they've got nothing to do with us over in Essex, what's going to be their first steps really for them?
I just made a TikTok on this and it went viral, by the way.
Did it?
500k views.
Anyway.
I can't remember what I said. I made a TikTok on what I would do if I woke up tomorrow a few stone heavier. And essentially,
watching this now, what's the first thing they should really do?
The first thing that I would do, and I made it really simple because I wasn't actually looking at calorie intake on that. All I said was basically...
Will?
It's an app, you're too old.
8.
And all I
like what's that?
All right, okay.
All I was said.
I'm not on that.
No, you lot.
Sorry, Will.
Are you ready?
Will was talking.
Okay.
Go on, Will,
So I wasn't looking at calories initially, but my opinion on this would be to start creating good habits. So I would have 3 meals a day that would be high in protein. I would have 2 snacks a day. I would train 3 to 5 days a week. I would go out for a walk for an hour a day, and I would get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I would drink 3 litres of water. And that sounds like a lot, but when you actually break it down, it's things that we all do on a daily basis anyway. You shouldn't actually add in loads of different extra things to your life, apart from just looking to improve in different areas. Maybe your sleep needs improvement. Maybe you're consuming too much, reduce your portion sizes a little bit. Maybe you're not having any protein with any of your meals. Maybe that you're over-consuming because you aren't allowing yourself to have a snack or 2 throughout the day. Those kind of things
What about would be a good idea then for someone, let's say like someone's an absolute fucking new starter here, right? You were talking about writing food diaries and stuff. What about if someone was to sit down with the diary and go, right, I'm going to write down my current activity level, my current input of food, so they actually have an idea where they're at before they move into those steps of going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, then what I would start, obviously from that, from the data from that, you'd be able to pick up initially where someone's going wrong. But then what I would do is how I always start with my clients, what I call the 3 daily non-negotiables. So we would look at a calorie intake, how many calories do they need to consume on a daily basis and a weekly basis in order to lose body fat consistently, but at a sustainable rate that it's not too quick and you're going to come off track and overly restrict yourself. So you don't want to drop calories too low too quick. And the way that I do that initially is I'll find body weight in pounds and times it by 10. That's going to give you your starting point. That's all I do on a calculator. And that works for most people. Then I look at protein intake. 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight is like an ideal range. But again, I tell people not to focus too much on hitting their protein bang on. I kind of like to have a bit of leeway with it. So if you times your body weight in kilos by 1.6 and it came back and you needed 150 grams of protein, I would always tell people anything between 130 to 160 is like a sweet zone. So you don't have to be too overly obsessed with that. Just get it within that range. And then the last thing I'd look at is energy expenditure. So how much are you actually moving? Because people, and I think I put this on Instagram once before and you commented something about it. I'm not sure if you agree with me or not, but people get overly obsessed when they get older that they blame everything on age, but they don't actually consider how much more active they were as a kid. And so the reason that you are gaining weight is because you're becoming more sedentary as you get older.
Yeah, massively agree with that.
People are quick to blame age for it.
Mate, backing up on that, I think as well, before you'd start on some of this stuff, I think we'd already covered it, but is it a good time for you? Because if you've got a lot going on, I think, and you're looking to make some changes, it needs to be the right time.
It needs to be a priority to you right now.
And also,
it needs to be the time for it.
Yeah,
also identify if you're going to, before you make a change, why are you doing it? What's the purpose? Like, what if you've got an event coming in 8 weeks' time or 10 weeks' time or whatever it is, and you've got something hanging over you, great. Use that to be purposeful. I think, if someone wants to lose weight, then that's different, or they're looking to burn some fat over a period of time or whatever it is. But hang something against it that means something to you.
This is exactly the conversation I have on consultation calls with people is figuring out what their reason why is. And we actually, on the last EBC60, we questioned in the group, didn't we? And I had put a question there within the group that me and Wes were on, and I just said to everyone, what is the reason you started EBC60? And people will come back, I want to lose a little bit of weight, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then to that response, I would reply and say, why? And then they dig a little bit deeper into it. And then to that response, I'd say why. And eventually you come out with this answer as to why it's really, really important to them and why they've started and what is their reason why. And you end up finding that out as opposed to someone just telling you, I want to lose a bit of body fat. And that's when it becomes more important to them.
Effectively, having a smaller ass is going to be like why you're motivated is going to be something that drives you. But once that goes, after a period of time, and invariably that will, whatever you're left with, whatever the reason you started and why you started, has got to be more important why you're not doing it. And I think that's really important to identify that early on with people, without a shadow of a doubt. Again, it comes back to why some people stick it and some people don't. Would be really, by the way, and you've already said it as well, whereas if anybody has got any feedback that's done it, and we're more than open to improve this.
Send it over for sure.
I think people just need to, again, know their why, be accountable to where they're going wrong, and be patient. The fact that it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you don't have any of those, you're not going to get anywhere. Find a process that works for you, and a diet that works for you, or you want to call it a diet or a training plan that works, whatever it is. You just need to find what works for you around your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You've got busy kids. You hear people, I don't have time. You do if you can find it.
If it means enough, you'll find time.
Like we're like dads, we know how fucking hard it can be.
Yeah.
But you do what you said. You've got to prioritise it.
Yeah.
And it sounds quite selfish, but your health and fitness, it should be a selfish thing.
It needs to be a priority.
Well,
I
say that all the time. I say if you are busy, but you don't look after you, well, you're the first thing that's going to crash. It's like having a car not MOT in it. Yeah. You've got to look after you. If you want everything else to run around you and work around you, well, you've got to look after you as number one.
It's really
if you don't,
we'll go back. The same thing I mentioned in the previous chat is like. Also, it's good for your mental health. If you train, it makes you feel better. Do you know what I mean? So in turn, you're going to be a nicer person when you're around people. You're probably going to be a little bit less snappy to your other half and your kids. All that kind of stuff. There's a lot of benefits to being accountable and being dedicated. Yeah. I don't say it's as simple as that, but once you get the ball rolling on that one,
I could always say it's a little bit of discipline with it. Be disciplined.
Massive.
Be disciplined with it.
And if you have the opportunities to do so as well, like obviously where we all technically can create our own schedules, right, around clients and whatnot. For me, I put training in my diary before anything else goes in. And then it becomes a priority. I can work around it, and otherwise I'll end up making the excuse if I can't find time to train because I've got to go and do this and I've got to go and do that. If I plan enough time within,
no one's going to make the time for you, are they?
No,
End of the day,
no,
you've got to make that time.
Because I don't do it very often, but if I've got a day where I've got say meetings, clients, and chat to do whatever, and I know my day's getting full, that's when I will literally put in an hour. I'm like, I'll just training. Because if somewhere I get a phone call, can you book me in here? I'm like, no.
It's got to be blocked.
That's my hour.
Yeah.
And you ain't
And you
having
need,
that one.
you need that.
You ain't having that.
We've had this discussion before about how you feel, and me especially, if I miss a day of training. It's like something's completely missing.
Yeah.
And I just, even when I'll get in a bed that night and I'll be like fucking itching, like I need to go and do something.
David Goggins said it. He said, don't never wake up and regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you just get out there and do it because you're never going to regret the workout you did.
No.
Simple as that.
Only one regret is the one you miss.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I'm going away
Say
for
some more
nearly 2
cheesy
weeks.
lines.
Got it in there.
I'm going away for nearly 2 weeks on Wednesday. You think I'm not going to train? Oh, I'm going to train all the time. It makes me a better person, and I don't feel so shitty when I'm sitting around on the beach playing with the kids. I feel better in myself. I'm going to be more relaxed.
Yeah.
Because it is a necessity for me, without a doubt, and that's where I think where a lot of people that I see go wrong with the food and the training. It is not a necessity for them. And then you stand in the mirror and you go, I'll put weight on. It's because you're not making it a priority.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult. I'm not saying it is really easy. I'm not saying you can train 6 days a week. But you have to make it a priority. You have to say, well, if I've got time to go and do, I don't know, pop to the shops or go and grab a coffee from Costa or whatever it is, I've got time to go for a run, or I've got time to go and do some bodyweight workout or swing a kettlebell for half an hour, whatever it might be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop finding excuses. I know that's quite a common thing and easy for people like us to say, I guess, we're in the fitness industry, but
that's the reality of it.
It is
and
the
that's
reality of it.
that, unfortunately, like if
It
it
is.
means enough, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And I always say that to people. So first 30 days is very much focusing on creating the habits that we're speaking about. Second 30 days about implementation, looking a bit more into the macros and things like that. And I believe there'll be a few changes up there. I know Will's going to oversee the 60, and I think the app that we've moved on to now is probably one of the most amazing things that
Valuable
we've done
tool, that,
probably
isn't
in the
it?
last year or so with regards to the EBC60. And I feel it's just going to keep developing off the back of that. Got any more on the app?
Yeah, I mean, as in where we'd like to go off the back of it.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there's plenty of options of what we could do following on from EBC60, but one thing which it isn't is a one-to-one coaching program. You're not specifically taking one person through the entire process. We're taking a big group of people through it, and so there is some options following on from in the future from EBC60s is to keep people on the app, and like you were saying at the start, if we were to look at niching down in specific areas for each person, and then whoever fits within that niche will then be looked after by that person, essentially having an online PT one-to-one, but look more specifically into their goals and needs and to help them work towards their goal, because EBC60 is more of a habit builder, and creating those habits over the first 60 days, and then following on from that, once those habits are kind of built and they're set in stone, then you can look to really push towards their individual goals, I think.
I'd like to maybe, look at a little bit more it's got a lot of capability, hasn't it, to deliver training programs for people.
Oh yeah, so much. Training is a big thing that again, you'll be really good on that, Glenn. I think you'll have.
Yeah. So like from a point where a lot of our guys maybe use a gym or do some strength sessions, and maybe we can plug into some of those and give them some support around the strength sessions that they're doing.
Yeah, there's so much we can incorporate.
So that's something that we're looking at to progress it. But I think all in all, it's just such a great tool to get a better picture of what each individual's going on, and then we can part with our speciality and our expertise around giving people advice
And
off the back
I
of
think
it.
some of the results that we've seen off of people, Bill in particular in Witten, over 22 kilos
But again,
or something
it's
like that.
more, it's more than just the before and after
results that
picture as
people have
well.
been having, and it's what it's built for him in particular. It's become set in stone now. It's his life,
Exactly.
and he
The
tracks
funny
outside of
thing
it.
is you just literally mentioned the before and after picture. That's the one thing we're not chasing.
Yeah.
We're not saying to people at
way
the end
more
of
than
it, brilliant, well done for completing your 60 days. Now send me your after picture.
Yeah.
We do say to people, if you're comfortable with your results and that, so let's have a look, because aesthetics.
It's good to see.
It's good to see because it's not for us, for them, because they go, oh fucking hell, because they go, I don't think I've lost enough weight. Taking your after picture yet? No. Take the picture. Come back to me.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Look
And
at the
also-
difference. I'm like,
Absolutely.
brilliant. But the thing is, there's a lot of companies out there, and I know for a fact are literally chasing your after picture.
Yeah.
I know for a fact they are dehydrating you. They are doing everything they can, like a competition, like a genuine photo shoot, just for the after picture, and that's wrong. That's fake. If you're doing a photo shoot, that's different. standing on stage. That's different. But when you're doing it purely just to prove that your concept or your intervention that you're trying to sell is that good that you need to force someone to dehydrate themselves to get their after picture, that's wrong. We don't do that. We just get natural process pictures.
Our values as well, as we've already covered in some of the other podcasts, like it's about your overall health and fitness and well-being. Like we do a fitness test as part of this that people do at the start and at the end, and lo and behold, people are a little bit quicker over a K, or if they do a step test, their lung capacity is a little bit better, a little bit more efficient. They're fitter and healthier, effectively, and also they look a little bit better with no clothes on. Simple as that. And that's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah,
that's what we are. That's what we've always been, really.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, the next EBC60 will go live September, we said? Yep. We'll go live September. Process to book in will be attached to the bottom of this podcast, as well as on all our social media platforms. Please, if you're not sure, speak to your instructor. They'll be able to give you some more information on it. Other than that, guys, have a great day.